Assalamu alaikum my dear students. Hope you are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIEVS Home School. I am Nasima Akter, Assistant Teacher of Science, National Ideal English Version School, Morning Shift. Dear students, today I am going to take a science class for class 6 students. Dear students, our today's topic is Chapter 1. Let's see today's topic from here. Students, our today's topic is Chapter 1, Part 1, and this is lecture number 1, and today's HW number is also 1 number. So dear students, let's begin the class. Students, here is the Chapter 1, and the name of this chapter is Scientific Process and Measurement. Scientific Process and Measurement. And here is lesson 1, page number 2. Lesson 1 is what is science? Let's see what is written here. Science is a special kind of knowledge. Do you know what knowledge is? Knowledge is information related to something. Knowledge is information related to something. Now, the question that may arise is, what information is related to science? You have learned about living, non-living things, water, air and soil in your primary science course. These are the elements of natural environment. Moreover, you are also familiar with various natural phenomena such as how rainfall, how plants produce their foods, etc. Therefore, science is the special knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena. But any information related to nature is not science. If someone gives an imaginative explanation of a nature happening, that may not be considered as science. That explanation needs to be validated through experiment or observation. Hence, scientific explanation must be supported by information gathered through the process of systematic experiment or observation. You might have heard the interesting tales on the origins of rainfall, but do these tales explain the causes and origins of rainfall from scientific points of view? No, these types of explanation are not based on science because they are not grounded on and supported by an experimental findings. How do we acquire this knowledge? We acquire the knowledge of science through experiments, analysis, observations and logical thinking. These are the processes of science. As the knowledge is science, similarly, the process of acquiring knowledge is also science. As scientific process is required to acquire the knowledge of science, a scientific mind or viewpoint is also needed. This includes logical thinking, recognizing others' opinion and admitting self-errors. This is also known as being science-oriented. How do we then define science? Science is the knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena, which is obtained through observation and experiments or supported by experimental data and a science-oriented view. The knowledge of science is as important as the process and system of acquiring knowledge, whereas a science-oriented mind is even more important. Now, steps of scientific process. You have so far learned that the knowledge of science is the knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena. Now, the question is there only one particular process or more than one process to acquire the knowledge of science? Different scientists acquire the knowledge of science in different methods and systems. But there were similarities among them in many areas. On the basis of these similarities, the course of scientific process may be illustrated as follows. Now come to here, this page, 3 number page. Here is the flow chart of steps of scientific process. At first stage, here is selecting questions and problem, and then second step is collecting information, and after that probable result or hypothesis, and here is planning of experiment and observation methods and preparing tools for data collection. And next one here is observation and data collection, and after that here is analysis of collected data, and then acceptance or rejections of results, and here is dissemination of findings. Now students, come to here lesson 2 and 3, experiment. Experiment is an important method of finding new knowledge in science. In this method, a scientist at first takes a problem, decisions, hypothesis in the light of known or existing information in order to answer a certain question. Then he verifies the validity of the hypothesis decision through experiments. If the hypothesis is not supported by the data, he may decide to take a new probable decision. After that, he again verifies the new decision through further experiments. The main characteristics of experimental method is in it only one variable is changed, keeping all the other static. The various steps of experimental method are described below. Here is an experiment, and this experiment name is the experiment on whether water is necessary for a plant to survive. Things required for the experiment. Students, you can do this experiment at your home. Here is required experiment needed some 2 small pots, 2 flower plants, water, dry soil, and problem selection. In the first step of the experimental method, you have to select the problem. In this case, the problem is, why does the flower plant die after being planted? And the next step, known existing information. You try to gather relevant information from books or by asking questions to your teachers and parents on why plants die. You have come to know that plants may die in absence of water. And the next step, taking probable decision, potential outcome. From the known information that you have explored so far, you take probable decisions, hypothesis. Here the hypothesis is, without water plants die. And the next step, planning the experiment. Now you draft a plan for conducting the experiment. Remember that in order to conduct your experiment, you will need 2 separate pots for 2 plants. You may differentiate the 2 pots in terms of only one condition, while the rest of the conditions will be the same for both the pots. Otherwise, you will not be able to attest what you are looking for. Now come to here, this is 4 number page, experiment. Take 2 similar small pots. It is better to take clay pots or small plastic tubs. Make small holes beneath the pots and fill them with dry soil. Now plant 2 similar flower plants, 1 in each pot. Pour water to one pot and leave the other pot to dry. Keep both the plants away from sunlight. Observe the plants on the next day. One of the plants is about to die, isn't it? The other plant looks lively and fresh. And then here is 6 number point, data analysis and taking decision. Both the pots were filled in by the same kind of soil. Both the plants were kept in the same place. The only difference between the 2 was supply of water. One of the plants was watered, whereas the other one was not. What decision may come to from this? we come to know decision that one of the plant is about to die due to want of water. Now the last point, publication of result. You can publish your result of experiment in the bulletin board of your school. These are the steps that an experimental method may involve. These are also the steps of scientific process. Students, now we will read this part, lesson 4 and 5. Necessity of measurement. We usually depend on our assumption while measuring things in various common situations in life. For example, the length of your reading table or the time you start for school, etc. In such cases, you are most likely to answer the questions on the basis of your assumption. Again, there are some other situations in our life when you cannot just depend on your assumption when measuring something. For example, in order to determine in which group you will complete in the annual sports competition of your school or which television news headline you will follow, you must require specific information. For example, you need information on your height and need to know the timetable of different TV channel for news updates. In cases like this, you may not get the correct information if you depend on your assumption for measuring your height or the time. Therefore, measurement is essential for determining a specific quantity or grade. We feel the necessity of valid measurement in every sphere of our life. Take the examples of purchasing rice or dal from grocers, making clothes, or starting and finishing classes in time. In each of these cases, it is essential to measure accurately. Without proper measurement, it is difficult to decide how many pairs of table bench will be accommodated in the classroom, how many rooms can be built within the certain area of a house, or which room will be of what size. Moreover, while cooking, it is essential to add exact amount of spices to the curry. Life-saving medicine is also manufactured by following specific measurement, and patients have to take medicines in exact amount as prescribed by the physician. In fact, proper measurement is necessary in every sphere of our life. Students, now come to here. This is page number 5. Here is here is a task. You will read this task, and as a result, here one student might say that the rope of 16 hands long, while another student is finding it 17 hands long. What decision can we reach from the above exercise? How this difference in measurement can be eliminated? Basically, a standard amount of considered in measurement in order to eliminate these types of difference. A suitable quantity or a minimal fraction of measuring something is considered as a standard. This known small fractional quantity of a standard is the unit of measurement. Generally, while measuring something, a certain fraction of the measurable article is considered as standard. In case of measuring the length, convenient length, in case of measuring the mass and convenient mass, and in case of measuring time, convenient time is considered to be a standard. The length, mass, time and temperature of various things are measured in terms of the respective standard quantity. In each case of measurement, the result is expressed by unit. For example, let us think that you are measuring the length of a room. You have found that the room is 10 meters in length, but if you say the room length is only 10, it will not mean anything. Hence, in order to express measurement of any quantity, there must be one magnitude and one unit. Students, now lesson 6, fundamental and derived units. The article we measure is usually known as quantity. For example, at the time of measuring the length of the table, the length is a quantity. Again, while measuring someone's height, height is considered a quantity. There are several systems of units for measuring this quantity. Out of this unit, a certain unit can be used to measure a particular quantity directly. For example, the length of a body can be measured directly by the unit of length. Here the unit of length is self-independent. This unit is known as fundamental unit. Similarly, the unit of mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity and amount of substance are fundamental units. On the other hand, some of the quantities cannot be measured and expressed by a single unit. In order to measure the area of a classroom, we are to depend on multiplication of 2 units. In case of measuring volume, the multiplication of 3 units is necessary. In these cases, combination of 2 or more units are required. These combined unit are known as complex or derived unit. For example, the unit of area is made up of the unit of length and breadth. Students, I have finished my today's topic. Now I will give you HW. This is your HW for this week, and the HW number is 1 number HW, and your HW will be make 5 MCQ based on these lessons. Make 5 MCQ based on these lessons, and you will make 5 MCQ question with 4 options and with answer. So dear students, I hope you have understood today's topic. See you later in our next class. Thank you.